DSCR Business Purpose Loan. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Jeff Trevarthen, Jeff the Mortgage Pro. Hope you guys are doing great today. This is a cool type of a loan that you probably didn't know about, but there's a lot of different little niches inside this DSCR world, these loans for investors. And today we're going to be talking about the business purpose loan. Before I get into it, do me a huge favor. Go ahead and click on that like button down below. And if you really like these videos, then please subscribe. I'd love to have you as part of the community on Jeff the Mortgage Pro. And I do appreciate all of your support going forward. And thanks for reaching out for everything that you need regarding the real estate and mortgage community. Okay. So business purpose loans, what the heck does that mean? It means it's just for business purposes only. But here's the thing about this. So if you close your DSCR transaction in an LLC, which is very, very common in the DSCR world and for investors, if you're buying properties with conventional loans, you can't do that. So you'd have to buy a property, close in your own personal name, and then transfer it into that LLC afterwards. And oftentimes that could be considered a taxable event. So you might have extra cost if you were to do something like that. With the DSCR loans, you can close in an LLC. So you don't need to have a double type of a closing to be able to do these types of products. So if you close in an LLC, the benefit is that most of our lenders will not report these to your personal credit. So that's the great thing. We might have to do a hard pull on your credit to begin with. Sometimes we do a soft pull, just depends on the type of lender that we're using and what the actual purposes are. But for the most part, these aren't going to report to the credit bureaus going forward. So how is that a benefit to you? Well, you can keep these as strictly businesses, which is really what an investment property is. It's a little business that you're running that has positive cash flow, most likely going forward. And so this helps you to keep that as a business purpose type of loan. It doesn't report to your personal credit, which could affect, debt to income ratios and things of those natures if you were to, try to qualify for a mortgage. So it doesn't report to your credit with a business purpose DSCR loan. Okay, so let's look at some of the guidelines here. First time investors are okay. You can definitely be a first time investor. If you have a primary residence, you can go out and buy a property. You can use a DSCR business purpose loan as long as you're closing an LLC. You can do this type of transaction. There's very few lenders that will do first-time home buyers, but believe it or not, there's a couple that are out there that you can actually do these types of loans with. Most likely, you're going to be at a minimum of 25% down, but it is definitely still doable that as long as you're closing in an LLC, you can do a DSCR business purpose transaction. So we can go credit scores down to 640. I've even seen some investors go down to 620, but the guidelines and the rates are not looking so hot when you're down that range. But 640 is probably a minimum credit score. Anything better than 660 is definitely preferred. And then if you can get into the 700s, then you're going to be in a good spot going forward with these DSCR business purpose loans. So credit is still important, even though we don't necessarily report to the credit bureaus for these types of loans with a business purpose, closing in an LLC. So you can do non-warrantable condos with these types of transactions, whereas with conventional loans, that can be really, really hard to do. So DSCR, no problem at all. You can do short-term rentals on these types of business purpose loans. So close your short-term rental in an LLC. Doesn't report to the credit bureaus, but you have an Airbnb or a VRBO type of a property, and you can rent that thing out and make a ton of money doing those types of things. Loan amounts up to $3 million, so we can go pretty high. I do have investors that will go even higher than that, but for the most part, I don't see those very often going forward with these types of loans. Investment properties for 1 to 4 units qualify for these business purpose DSCR loans, so make sure that it's a residential property. If it's 5 or more units, it's typically considered commercial, and I do have lenders that will lend on those, but the parameters are really, really strict and tight, and I don't like the rates on those types of loans. So, we'll probably stay away from that type of stuff. So for the business purpose DSCR loan, probably looking at 1 to 4 units. This is for purchases, rate and term refinances, and cash out refinances. You can do all of those 3 different types of transactions. With the DSCR loan, the great thing about it is there's no personal income required. So if you're, a very experienced investor or somebody that maybe doesn't have a job, those things don't matter, because with the DSCR loan, we don't have to worry about any personal income. So no tax returns, no pay stubs, no W-2s, none of that stuff matters for the DSCR loan, which is why I love them, because there's a lot less paperwork that's involved for them. There's no limit to the number of properties you have. You can buy as many properties as you want. These are for 30-year fixed loans. They're 40-year fixed available. There's even ARMs available. I don't love the ARMs because they're typically priced not even as good as like a 30-year fixed with these types of loans. So most common is the 30-year fixed DSCR business purpose loan. They have interest only available if you really want to do something like that, which is kind of cool because you can really try to increase your cash flow the best that you can that way. As little as 3 months worth of reserves required. So 3 months reserves is not very much. If your monthly payment is $5,000 for the principal, interest, tax, and insurance, 3 months of reserves would be $15,000. That can be in like savings or checkings or stocks or bonds or 401ks or Roth IRAs or whatever it might be. Liquid or somewhat liquid stuff counts as reserves going forward. So as little as 3 months is all you need for these types of transactions. Up to 80% loan to value, 20% down is going to be required for the business purpose DSCR loan, closing in an LLC. Beware of extra costs though. If you go less than that, there's still some investors out there that will do 15% down. I don't love the terms and I don't love the parameters. So that's why I say 20% down is probably what you're going to need in the most for the best terms and the best type of a scenario. Let's go with just 20% down to be able to go forward. These do come with prepayment penalties if your state allows that. There's a few states that don't allow prepayment penalties. That's one of the things that I don't like about DSCR loans in general is that they have prepayment penalties. So anywhere from no prepay all the way up to a 5-year prepay. And that means that if you pay off the loan early, you could incur a cost or the penalty for paying the loan off early. So what constitutes paying off a loan early? It depends on the investor. If you make extra principal payments, that could be considered a prepayment violation on some investors. If you pay more than 20% of the original balance, that could be considered a prepayment penalty, and you could incur a penalty for that. But for the most part, it means that if you were to refinance completely that property, pay off the existing loan and replace it with a new loan, or if you were to sell the property during that prepayment penalty period, you're going to incur a penalty going forward. So just make sure we know what we're talking about when we do your investment property DSCR loan with a business purpose, closing in an LLC going forward, and we'll be fine, and we'll figure all that stuff out as we go. Okay. If you have any questions at all, I'm going to put my calendar link down below. Go ahead and click on that. And if you'd like to schedule an appointment with me, I'd love to chat with you about your DSCR business purpose loan. Thanks so much for watching today, and I'll see you on the next show. Have a great one.